And welcome once again. We'll be getting started really soon. Before we do get started with Think Cloud, Think GSA events, my name is Liz Owens, and it has been my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual venue. And before we start, I wanted a couple of housekeeping items to let you know. Today's session will be recorded. I believe we may have actually already started recording just now. And we will be sharing those recordings will be shared on demand viewing approximately 30 days after today's event. We've also provided a closed caption link in the chat box, or we will shortly, and that will be part of the recorded session, so you can view that if you need to. Today's event will promote a holistic view of GSA's cloud and cloud-enabled IT portfolio and share how GSA's cloud programs work together to support customer business needs. Time permitting, we will have a question and answer period at the conclusion of each session. Any questions we are unable to get to today, we'll be posting with answers after the event within 2 weeks. All recordings, slide decks, and further unanswered questions will all be posted at the gsa.gov/FAST site as they become available. For those who attend today, you will receive 2 CLP credits in a certificate sent to the email you registered with within the next 4 weeks. Please be sure to use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen to supply us with any questions you may have, and keep those questions out of the chat as much as possible so we can be sure not to miss them. And now I'll turn it over to our full host, Sam Navarro.
All right, well, let's get this thing started. Looks like based on the responses to our polls today, we have a great mix in the audience today. So hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Navarro. I'll be your host for today. I'm the director of the Customer Strategic Solutions Division for the Office of Information Technology category in GSA's Federal Acquisition Service. I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, the Commissioner of the Federal Acquisition Service, Sunny Hashmi. Sunny is a technologist at heart with experience in the public and private sectors, helping drive innovation in the cloud market in particular. From the data center consolidation initiative and cloud first in Obama era to the current federal cloud computing strategy of Cloud Smart, he has witnessed firsthand how cloud technology has transformed both industry and government. With that being said, the floor is yours, Sunny.
Thank you, Sam. That's a very kind introduction, and hello and welcome to all of you. Some of you are joining us from the East Coast, where there's afternoon and a hot and muggy day in DC. Others are joining from the West Coast, but wherever you're coming from, we thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. My job today is to share how we at GSA are positioning ourselves to be your best friend in the cloud. As Sam mentioned, I've been in the technology industry most of my career. I had the privilege, prior to joining GSA as a FAST commissioner, I had the privilege of serving the agency as a CIO for GSA for a number of years in the late 2000s and early 2010s. And looking back at those days, I remember how early cloud adoption conversations were happening back then. Back then, cloud was a new thing. There was no such thing as deploying cloud at scale. Very few agencies were actually experimenting, were looking at cloud technologies. And frankly, the value of cloud was not really understood well at the time. We didn't even have a program called FedRAMP, which we rely on every day today with hundreds of vendors in a secure marketplace available to the federal government. At the time, the early days of cloud created this policy called Cloud First. And it was an attempt by the federal government to really look at cloud technologies as an emerging option for agencies to think about as they start thinking about modernizing their infrastructure, with a deep focus on cost savings. While those early wins led to increased adoption and increased momentum of the cloud journey in the federal government, a lot has happened in the last 11 years. Not only has the federal government become a much smarter buyer of cloud technologies, and with every agency at this point deploying cloud services at various scales and great scales and to great results, but the industry's come a long way as well. Now more than ever before, there is an incredible array of secure, modern cloud platforms available in the marketplace. Everything from infrastructure to platforms and software as a service that are designed and ready to go to solve your agency's most critical mission problems. As we look through this journey, we are amazed to see how far the federal government has come. As of 2020, for example, the federal government has spent over $6.5 billion in acquiring and deploying cloud services. $3 billion of that spending has been facilitated by Gsa very directly. And as an example, we recognize that as the cloud market has evolved, the focus for why cloud makes sense to agencies has also shifted. From the early days where there was a maniacal focus on cost savings alone, which is an important aspect of modernizing federal technology. The fact is that in our daily lives, we rely on application platforms, tools, and technologies that are all built on cloud, that are not just designed to be cost efficient, but allow us as consumers, as citizens, and as people to get access to the services we need when we need them from any device. The value of cloud goes beyond just cost savings. It goes towards building scalable solutions that are designed with user experience in mind, to be able to deliver value where it's needed and when it's needed, to be able to scale up and down as demand changes, and to be able to connect together in a secure way to deliver an end-to-end experience much quicker than historically was possible in the federal IT space. We see agencies delivering and deploying applications within a matter of weeks and months, which was unheard of in the days prior to cloud services. And if you think about the agency's missions, and if you think about your agency's mission, the expectations on the federal government by the US citizens have never been higher. Our citizens demand us to deliver value, deliver benefits, and deliver services quickly, securely, and in a way that they can consume in a digital-first manner. And that's where cloud comes in. I've spent many years both in the government and the private sector, and the power and potential of cloud technology has never been greater than it is today. So that leads to the question, and I'll give you an example. If anything has proven out the value of cloud, it's been this last year and a half. All of us, our agencies, our companies, have had to deal with an unprecedented set of events over the last year and a half due to the COVID-19 pandemic. From enabling employees to work from home, to engaging with our customers, citizens, and stakeholders in new ways, quickly deploying applications that can modernize decades-old paper-based processes. None of that would have been possible without the cloud. And as an example, Gsa worked very closely, for example, with the Department of Defense to create and deploy a strategy for an end-to-end service called DEOS that allowed the Department of Defense to deploy capabilities that servicemen and women need in their hands every day, to be able to connect together, to collaborate with each other, while making sure that the security of sensitive data is always maintained. And not only that, that allowed the Department of Defense to scale up and down as its needs changed and only pay for what they consume. These are the models that we are interested in championing even more. But we realize that not every agency is able to deploy the expertise needed to rethink their business processes, to reimagine their application stacks, and to deploy cloud technologies securely and quickly. So we want to be your partner in this journey. We have spent a lot of effort over the last many years to build capabilities, shared services, and acquisition solutions that can help you plan for your cloud journey, design the right acquisition strategy, leverage shared buying power and shared services, connecting the dots so that you can deliver value very quickly. And today, you will hear from various parts of Gsa who are doing just that. I'm really excited to kick off this event today. I really thank you again for your time and effort today. I want you to bring your questions. We also want to learn from you. We realize that sometimes working with Gsa can be somewhat confusing experience because we do a lot of different things for a lot of different people. We are working very hard to make that experience as streamlined as possible. And over the coming months and years, you will hear more about that as well. But today, we want to share exciting things that we can do for you right now, from helping you plan, helping you acquire, helping you deploy, and get the value that you need from cloud solutions across the government and across the industry. In closing, I just want to mention, when I was a CIO at Gsa many years ago, this was a new thing. We had to chart new territory that had not been charted before. We had to invent processes, understand how we secure these things, understand how they connect together, help our users and stakeholders learn how to use these products and services. And since then, not only the cloud technology has grown, but the comfort and the usability of those products has grown. So don't feel, so if you are thinking about a solution, if you're thinking about a problem set, a mission area that you would like to modernize, chances are that those problems have already been solved elsewhere in the federal government. That's another value that we add. We have the privilege of working with every agency in the federal government. We see firsthand how agencies are deploying these technologies, securing these technologies, overcoming challenges, thinking about deployment models, thinking about change management. So when you work with us, not only do you get the value of the products and services we build for you, but you also get the benefit of expertise that has been gained over years of working across hundreds of organizations in the federal government. So I do hope that we have a chance to work together as we move forward. I hope that you find value in the sessions today. Please bring your questions, and we'll have the experts to answer them, or we will definitely get back to you and answer them after the fact. As we mentioned earlier, the recording will be available as well. I hope you share it with your colleagues, and we look forward to working with you. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Sam to kick off the agenda. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sunny. Cloud is definitely surging. According to Bloomberg, by 2023, federal cloud spending will reach $8.5 billion with an expected growth rate of 9 to 10% annually. And GSA knows that when we talk about cloud acquisitions, it's about the 3 M's: money, mission, and modernization. But you don't achieve quality, speed, and cost effectiveness without a knowledgeable advisor. Our first speaker, Adam Grant, deploys teams of trusted experts to customer agencies. Adam works with cloud centers of excellence under the GSA's technology transformation services, and will be talking to us about how the cloud COE provides agencies with multiple sources of expertise in order to come up with creative, human-centered, and effective cloud solutions. Adam, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate that. So, as mentioned, hi, I'm Adam. I'm the Managing Director of Cloud Adoption and Infrastructure Optimization Centers of Excellence. I would like to talk to you a little bit about what are the Centers of Excellence, what we do, what makes us special, why you should be working with us, and a little bit about how to communicate with us. After my presentation, we will have a few minutes to answer questions. Again, please put your questions into the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will be joined by a special guest, Jennifer Ostami, the Acting Directors of the Centers of Excellence. Next slide, please. So, what are the Centers of Excellence? At our core, we are a group of experts from government and industry who are dedicated to bringing in our knowledge, our experience into federal agencies across the government. We help them move forward in their IT modernization effort, and providing them with long-term enterprise-wide change and evolution. Next slide, please. First, let me put the Centers of Excellence in a little bit of context. The Technology Transformation Service is part of the Federal Acquisition Service. Our relationship with the Federal Acquisition Service gives us direct access to the best acquisition minds in the federal government, the ability to acquire the right solution, the right skills, faster and for better prices. Inside the Technology Transformation Service are 2 sections. On the right side, you can see solutions. Solutions are the fantastic people who bring you services like cloud.gov, login.gov, data.gov. You will be hearing from them later on during the day, and their services are phenomenal, are a big part of our offering. On the client and market sides, there are three elements. 18F, our sister agency, is a team of dedicated engineers who specializes in developing and deploying solutions to enable capabilities in other federal agencies across government. The Presidential Innovation Fellows work long-term, usually with agency leadership, providing guidance and advocacy and working on, and working on strategical efforts. And then we get to us, the Centers of Excellence. We tend to work with agencies, and our goal tends to be helping agencies develop new capabilities and evolve change across the organization. Next slide, please. So we were established in 2017, and our goal is to bring in talent from both the private sector and the public sector to help agencies on their modernization journey by establishing best practices. And I'm so sorry, as you can tell, I'm a little nervous, and I promise you I will get on the ball fairly shortly. We're structured around 6 centers. The BEST Center, my center, the Cloud Adoption Infrastructure Optimization Center, deals with technology modernization in its raw form across the government. The Data Analytics and Artificial Intelligence Centers help agencies develop data policy and implement AI technologies to support their missions. Our Contact Center, Center of Excellence, help with the specific missions around interaction between the federal government and the public. All of our efforts are guided by our Customer Experience Center of Excellence. They are our guiding light in every effort that we implement. Next slide, please. All of our work is supported by 2 additional practice areas. First one is our acquisition practice. Our acquisition practice offers 2 services. First and foremost, they assist us as we acquire industry partners to implement specific solutions. They have developed our own specific acquisition vehicles, and they facilitate our accelerated acquisition services. On the other side, they also provide advisory capacity. They will be implemented with us into the agency and support the agencies in improving and implementing their own acquisition methodologies, teaching both agile acquisition methods and exposing the acquisition centers to new and useful vehicles that can help accelerate IT modernization. On the right side, you can see our newly announced Innovation Adopters practice. The Innovation Adoption practice is responsible to helping us move away from implementing a solution and taking that solution across to throughout the entire agency to help create lasting change. They offer change advocacy network, product management adoption, and coaching services to the agency and to the leadership as we continue our work. Next slide, please. We are currently working with 10 agencies across government. We have done work that starts with the initial introduction of cloud services, setting up innovation labs across multiple agencies, wrapping them with cloud ATL services, and making those available as federated software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service across the agency. We have helped agencies move petabytes of data out of their basement and into the cloud, making it available to the public as a whole. We have worked with agencies to modernize legacy, and when I say legacy, I mean 40-year-old legacy infrastructure modernizing the application layer, supporting mission critical system, and moving them to the cloud. And we've worked with other agencies like the Joint AI Center of the DoD to implement DevSecOps pipelines, allowing the JAG to offer AI services across the Department of Defense. Next slide, please. Our approach is broken into 3 steps. Initially, in our staging in the staging phase, we will work with the agency to identify their current modernization goals, identify short-term, immediate project that can be implemented to start moving us in that direction, and identify the long-term IT modernization goals that we can start pushing across. Our second phase is our discovery phase. At this point, our team is embedded, usually at the CIO or CTO level. We will work with your leadership, start diving deep into your current state, understanding the source of your challenges, and building the roadmap to a future state supporting new solutions. Third step is our implementation phase, at which point we will probably be bringing in some industry partners to work with us and start working on delivering both the solutions that were developed and the organizational change around it. Next phase, please. Slide, please. I apologize. Okay, so our teams are uniquely structured. We bring in our own experts. These are people who've had 15 to 20 years of experience in the specific area that we work. Our team will be embedded with your CIO shop and start working on building a plan. Together with them, we tend to bring industry partners. After we've identified the goal, we go and we acquire with you specific solutions or specific skills as needed to meet your goal. The third element of our teams, and this is, I think, where our magic sauce is, are the champions and detailees. We will find your champions across your organization and bring them in to support our effort. But beyond that, we have a unique detailee program where you can pick members of your own teams, select them to come and be detailed into our group. They will work with us, providing us with insight and domain knowledge into your organization, at the same time, learning from our team and integrating our approach into their work. The goal is, at the end of our engagement can be anywhere between 3 months to 2 years. At the end of that process, when we leave you, you will be left with a qualified, trained team that has already implemented innovating projects across your agency, and they can continue doing that long after we have moved on. Next slide, please. The transformation trifecta. I've had the pleasure of working with 7 agencies over the last 2 years. Everywhere where we have been successful, this trifecta was at the core of our success. We work with your technology team. We suggest new technological solutions to meet mission needs. That is the easy part, as much as any of this is easy. Like everything else in government, everything has to be delivered in a secure and compliant fashion. To bring your CISO team, bring your security team into the process, making them partners, you have to keep in mind that they're simultaneously enablers of IT modernization, but also they're beneficiaries of it. We work with the team, implement new tooling, implement new methodologies to help your security team focus on higher level work, the result of which is that their cycles become shorter and our ability to innovate, to iteratively release new and exciting solutions becomes infinitely faster. At the third leg of this trifecta are your finance team, your acquisition team, your CFO teams. Like everything else in government, everything is an acquisition action. So if we want to bring in a new team, if we want to bring in a new technology, your acquisition shop can, beyond being an enabler, is again also a beneficiary. We work with your acquisition team. We work with them to change the way they work. We provide them with new tooling so that they can become partners of the innovation process. As part of our engagement, we will do our best to create an engine of change in the core of your organization built out of these three members. And together, we can generate a tool that will keep serving your agency continuously. Next slide, please. So, why work with us? First and foremost, we're experienced. We bring in, I did the math a couple of months ago, we had more than 530 years of experience across our entire team. We are focused on our areas of expertise, and if we're touching stuff that we don't know, we're very good at reaching out to the industry and bringing them in with us. As mentioned, the fact that we have our own acquisition practice makes us very efficient at creating a holistic solution that meets your specific needs. We are human-centered. What does that mean? Between our CX team, customer experience team, and our innovation adoption practice, everything that we do starts and ends with your customers. The return on investment to working with us is direct improvement to the quality of life of your consumer, whether your consumer is internal or external. They are focused. We are result driven. Our goal, and this is the primary difference between working with us and working directly with a contractor, our goal is to leave as soon as possible. We come in, we generate the capability, we help your organization grow, and then we leave. Our success from us is an agency that has evolved, reached its goal, and is capable of continuing to implement innovation without us. Next slide, please. So before we jump into the Q&A section, please feel free to email us in connectcoe@gsa.gov. Our website is coe.gsa.gov, and our Twitter is GSACOEs. With that, I'd like to move on to the next slide and our Q&A section. One second. So our first question is, how does the United States Digital Services fit into the GSA COE? That is a very, very good question. USDS is a separate organization. They work from via OMB, and they are by definition, I believe, referred to as firefighters. They're there to solve emergency issues as they come up, and they support agencies in their modernization effort with specific goals. We have worked with USDS in several agencies, including USDA, including OPM, and they're fantastic, but their approach and their goals are slightly different than ours. Second question. I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you connect or ask the COE about specific agency needs solution-wise? You can definitely always contact our team, and we'll be more than happy to identify this, to answer specific questions for you. Also, again, connectcoe@gsa.gov is always available. How can our agency move all of our folders and documents into the cloud? Oh, wow. Okay. So knowledge management and knowledge management in the cloud. This is a problem that we've dealt with multiple times in several agencies. When you're doing documentation transfer, and again, there's details here such as, are you working on moving digital documents to the cloud that are currently sitting on a locally hosted server versus are you asking how to digitize paper, which is, again, a thing that we've done before, but is a very different project. The short answer is, first, build your capacity for cloud management, which we will help you do. One of the things that we do is we build internal cloud centers of excellence or cloud operation centers so that the agency is capable of handling that kind of cloud work. And then we build a migration program, either by working with a tool that can do scanning and digitizing, or by doing slow and controlled data transfers. Next question. Can a federal department enterprise modernization extend to states? For example, Fed-state agreements. So TTS in general works both with state and with federal agencies. We and 18F together are currently working on engagement with the state of Wisconsin, and there are several other engagements that are ongoing or starting to be implemented with other states. So that's a yes. Good. It's a yes or no question. I like yes or no questions. Unfortunately, I can't get into specific details about specific engagements right now. As GSA industry partners, how can we build GSA Cloud offering into offers designed presented with our solicitation response? In short, how can industry help GSA? Okay, so I can answer that question of how can industry help GSA from the COE perspective. Whenever the COE is engaged with an agency, we will go out to the street and issue multiple RFIs. Those RFIs are essential to our work when it comes to identifying industry best practices, identifying the right solutions, and identifying the current existing players in the ecosystem of the specific solution we're looking for. On the GSA perspective, I think I will let somebody from the wider GSA team respond to that a bit later. What is the cost for your service? Oof. Okay, so the way COEs work is by engaging other agencies over interagency agreements. Our cost per service will depend entirely on the size of the team and the type of effort that is being implemented. And if you have specific questions, please reach out to us over connect@gsa.gov, and we would love to give you specific answers. Can the government directly buy cloud services from AWS or Microsoft without Contractor in the middle? That is a fun question. So I cannot answer about specific vendors, but there are direct cloud suppliers, CSPs, on Schedule 70 right now. You're going to be hearing from Skip from ITC, the IT category of Schedule 70, a little bit later today, and he can dive into how to acquire cloud services over Schedule 70, both directly and via intermediaries. Will record management be a service provided by the cloud, or is it a solution that an agency needs to implement in the cloud? So record management is what I would refer to as a tertiary service, by which I mean there are multiple vendors providing record management as a service, most of which can either deal with storage that is local or on the cloud. The correct solution for you specifically from a security perspective and price perspective is something that COEs would be more than happy to come in and help you solve.
Okay, so I think we have time for one last question. And as Adam stated, apologize for the folks we couldn't get to, but please feel free to circle back with us offline and we'd love to touch base. So Adam, you have to select here, out of the last ones left, which one you can answer here soon, and then we'll jump onto the agenda.
I am going to pick the final question. We have had agencies that moved from 0% to 15%, and that's the largest, sorry, the question. Metrics on how much of your partner agencies have migrated into the cloud since partnering with you. For example, Agency X has moved from 80% to the cloud so from 80% on-prem to 50% on-prem. So a lot of our work has been on the 0% on the cloud to the 50% on the cloud, the initial introduction. The way this usually works is we work with agencies to build the capacity, generate the abilities to manage services on the cloud, and do the initial couple of migrations, pick specific application on a specific need, and do the migration to the cloud. From there on end, you start a slow iterative process of modernizing each piece of technology, each mission, and moving it to the cloud as is appropriate. I hope that answered your question. Thank you all very much. I apologize for the slow start. Thank you, Sam.
No worries. Thank you very much, Adam, for explaining the value add of the Centers of Excellence team. And of course, a lot to cover in such a short amount of time. And I want to thank the audience. Keep your questions coming. But of course, we got a time frame here we're trying to commit to. So we're definitely going to keep things moving along. We'll follow up with answers to those questions. Even post-event, we definitely encourage you guys to follow up with us. So next, we have Skip Gents, a veteran of the cloud computing space and a former CIO of a micro agency. He will be talking about how the information technology category makes your cloud acquisitions easier and the pre-competed solutions the Mras IT Cloud SIN can offer. So Skip, the room is yours.
Thank you, Sam. Can you hear me and see me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear. I think you may have some video issues from my, oh, there we can see you. So you're good to go.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Sam, and good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to you out west. My name is Skip Gents, and I have a confession to make. I am not wearing shoes. So I've been the lead for the multiple award schedule Cloud SIN 518.210 Charlie since its inception years ago, and working in this space for about 7 years, helping agencies figure out how to buy cloud off of Schedule 70. Well, Schedule 70 now consolidated with all the rest of the schedules, including the ones for office supplies and paper clips and guard dog blankets and everything else. So now it's the multiple award schedule, and the subset of the multiple award schedule that contains only cloud offerings is the special item number 518.210 Charlie. Moving on to the next slide, slide 18. So the IT Cloud Acquisition Team is what I am a member of. We offer these no-charge consulting services to those agencies that wish to take advantage of them. Number one out of the gate is the Market Research as a Service service. This is the service where an agency simply fills out a short questionnaire and gives it to GSA. GSA then publishes an RFI on that agency's behalf, and then receives and logs and collates and reports back to that agency all of the responses. You can see how this is a great labor-saving device. I'll show you a screenshot of that in just a moment. Secondly, we are the curators, as I mentioned, of the GSA Mass Cloud SIN 518.210 Charlie, which contains not only cloud products, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform, and software as a service, as well as the cloud-focused human labor hours to go with them. So it's kind of a miniature Alliant in a self-service platform venue kind of a thing. Next, we offer cloud acquisition strategy guidance. I'll show you a slide with the major pain points that drive contracting officers and contract specialists crazy when it comes to cloud. Next, we offer free scope reviews over your requirements documents, whether it's a SU, SAL, or what have you. We are also the curators of the GSA Cloud Information Center, or CIC, at cic.gsa.gov. That's a screenshot on the right-hand side of the most searched page on that website, which is the page where you can download sample cloud requirement templates and copy and paste them into your own as you desire. That's the most popular thing on the CIC site. Moving to the next slide, which is slide 19. As promised, this is a screenshot of a sample Mras report, that Market Research as a Service, an example of what comes back to you after you submit that short questionnaire to GSA and they publish that RFI for you. I believe this is the most successful program of all of our free services. It is a great labor-saving device. It allows you to check that box, and it actually delivers useful information. On this page, for example, you get the recommended contract vehicle that the vendors you polled have recommended, what their industry codes are, small, medium, or large, and their socioeconomic status as well. There's pages and pages and pages of this kind of very useful information. You can also, and this is what I stress with an Mras report, you can also design a bank of yes/no questions that really drill down into your requirements and compel industry to answer them on a yes/no basis. And those are all tallied for you in this Mras report. Moving to the next slide, which is slide 20. Let's talk a little bit more about the GSA Cloud SIN, the special item number under the GSA IT Schedule 70, which has morphed, consolidated rather, into the Mass Award Schedule, GSA schedule, known as the largest federal contract ever, for good reason. It's a self-service platform where you can get, you can drill into the subset of this very large contract. The Cloud SIN contains just cloud offerings, 425 some at last count, from 240 some vendors. The criteria for a vendor offering to get onto the Cloud SIN is that it meets the NIST academic definition of cloud. That's the main bar. And this graph shows the number of RFIs, RFQs that have been issued against the SIN for years and years and years by quarter. So quarter over quarter, it's a little hard to see with this graph, but quarter over quarter, you can see steady growth. The multi-colors in the graph indicate, well, the light color part of the bar, each bar, indicates the proportion of solicitations that were made with the Cloud SIN alone, whereas the dark portion of the bar indicates the proportion of the Cloud SIN that was solicited again alongside of multiple SINs, perhaps the professional services SIN, perhaps the software SIN, perhaps the e-commerce SIN, to try to capture, to throw a wider net for the products and services that the agency is looking for. And we consult with agencies on whether to use the Cloud SIN alone or multiple SINs in tandem. Moving to the next slide, slide 21. Here's some more benefits of using GSA Schedule in general, and of course, the cloud special item number specifically. And that is that small business set-asides are simple to execute in GSA Schedule. 85% of all schedule contract holders are small businesses. Well, this is misleading because it's very difficult for agencies to get their cloud from as a small business set-aside. And the reason is this. Many times a cloud vendor will offer their products through resellers. The resellers tend to be smalls. Well, that's good. But the cloud vendors, the cloud service providers or CSPs, the quote unquote manufacturers, they tend to be large. The problem comes when the Small Business Administration classifies cloud as a service and not a product. You cannot invoke the non-manufacturing rule, blah, 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 lawyer this, lawyer that. Bottom line is it's very difficult to execute a cloud buy as a small business set-aside. We can consult with you on the rare exceptions to that, but by and large, it's very, very difficult to classify a cloud buy as a small business set aside. GSA schedule ordering falls under a FAR subpart 8.4 directly. That's good. It provides great cover for agencies wishing to skip some steps compared to an open market buy. It checks several boxes for you by using the GSA schedule. The contractors are pre-vetted on all kinds of levels, vetting that the agency does not have to do. There are pre-negotiated ceiling prices that can be further discounted. You do not have to take the ceiling price that is presented on GSA schedule. Well, that's a good thing in this market where cloud prices generally continue to fall. So no price adjustment, no this, that, the other thing. It's whatever the price is at the time. It's a wonderful thing that these cloud prices continue to fall. The schedule allows for firm fixed price, time and materials, labor hour contract types. This is good because it helps with that royal pain that contracting officers and contract specialists run into when it comes to cloud. What do you do with an item that gets billed at, that rather gets charged at 10 cents a minute, $25 a day, 10 cents an hour? It fits a time and materials model, but some agencies are not allowed to use time and materials model contracts for anything, let alone cloud. So they might want a firm fixed price with a not to exceed CLIN, blah, blah, blah. This is part of an hour-long discussion that we would have with you, an agency looking to solve questions regarding acquisition and cloud. And last but not least, we have a lot of agencies asking now for BPAs against schedule, the mass award schedule generally, and the cloud SIN in particular, because when you're new, who knows how much of a variance is going to be in your cloud expenditure budget. You're new to cloud, you have an idea of how much it's going to cost, you ran out with a IGCE, you have funds obligated, but who knows when that natural disaster affects FEMA or what have you, some seasonal thing or some surprise comes down the road. Cloud is flexible. Is your contract flexible? So what agencies like to do, they've been asking over and over, is establish a BPA, a single award with a reseller who sells more than one CSP. Would put all your eggs in one basket. That would be a good thing. One contract action to achieve all of that cloud. That would be terrific. It can be used over and over like any other BPA as funding appears, funding trickles in, as projects trickle in. That's why agencies who have already done a cloud contract are coming back to GSA and asking about a single award BPA for those reasons. Let's move to the next slide, slide 22. Now here's a bunch of bullet points that I expect no one to remember. What I expect is that you'll know when these questions come up who to call, and that would be the cloud team here at GSA. You'll see the contact information in just a slide or two. These are the kinds of things we see, hurdles that contracting folks have to get over in order to buy cloud. They often, we're seeing from agencies more and more brand name justifications, not sole source justifications. The difference is you want to tag the manufacturer, not the reseller. You want to be able to get that Ford, so to speak, that Ford truck from any dealer at all, not from one specific dealer. So it's not a sole source. It would be a brand name justification. We see this more and more because agencies now have built up experience with cloud. They don't want to migrate from one cloud service provider to another over 2 cents a minute savings, because that would cost the government a great deal of time and treasure to move from move applications from one CSP to another. So they come to us asking about brand name justifications. We talk about contract types to fit pay-as-you-go cloud charges. I mentioned cloud can come as 10 cents a minute, $20 an hour, $50 a day, $100 a month. And so it's like a utility bill. It can go up and down every single month, just like a water bill or electricity bill or anything else. What is the contract type that would best fit that? Sounds like time and materials model. There's a whole discussion on time and materials model contracts, how you can have your cake and eat it too by letting a firm fixed price with a not to exceed, etc. This is the kind of consulting that we do, again, at no charge. How to deal with the FedRAMP question. I don't have time today, but I've got a 7-minute FedRAMP lesson that would teach any contract person everything they need to know about FedRAMP in 7 minutes. Next, how to acquire cloud as a small business set-aside. Maybe we should insert the word not acquire cloud as a small business set-aside for reasons I mentioned earlier. And last but not least, that good old single award BPA is the holy grail of cloud acquisition, I believe. Getting that reseller that sells more than one CSP so that you only have to execute one contract action. A contract action, it's not even a contract action, it's an acquisition action, since it's not a contract, a BPA, that can be used over and over with its own funding for each and every TO that comes along. Next slide, please, is number 23. Once again, we offer a free, no-cost review of your requirements. It doesn't matter what kind of requirements they are. We usually recommend a SUE for reasons I would explain if we were going on for an hour today. These are at no cost, and I'll tell you, we have never found a requirements document that we did not add value to, either in change in direction, change in scope, or possibly small changes in wording that had a big effect, that had a big effect on the acquisition using tracked changes in a word processing document. I haven't seen us not add value yet. Next slide is slide 24. Here's a screenshot again of the cic.gsa.gov. This is important for you to remember, to write down, because if you forget the contact information that I'm going to show, you'll have to worry about spelling my last name and such. But if you have this address, you can always contact the cloud team using one of the menu bars, or down at the bottom they have the cic.gsa.gov general email address. So this is the real go-to. And besides, it contains that most searched thing, those SUE templates that are tailored to cloud that you can download and copy and paste into your own at your heart's delight. Here's the promised POC information, my personal email address. There's the general email address. If I hit the lottery, move to the islands, you can always get somebody at the cloud team at cloudinfo@gsa.gov. My contact information is there, and we can move to questions. What do we have, Ben?
All right, Skip, thanks for that information. First question comes to you from Jane. It's an Mras question. She wants to know if the RFI that goes out to everyone with the NICS code, does the RFI that goes out to everyone for free market research go to everyone with the NICS code that has a MAS schedule?
Well, the target audience is much wider than that, Jane. In fact, when you work with an Mras specialist, you can actually help them tailor the audience. And it's actually quite good. The Mras industry stands up and salutes. There's a very high response rate. And the reason is industry knows that anybody who engages the Mras people are deadly serious about running an acquisition. it's not a fishing expedition. The closing rate from an Mras to making an award continues to be very high in the 60% range. So you're going to get better responses from industry using the Mras.
Great, thanks. Next question coming to you from Connie. Is the Cloud SIN mainly for cloud product offers such as Microsoft, AWS, etc., or is it also for IT consulting firms that support the cloud implementation?
Well, the good answer is that it's both. So there's plenty of cloud products like infrastructure, platform, email as a service. They're all there and well represented, actually. Lots of resellers for all the major CSPs are present and have been present for years and years. And that was a good thing, because when the scheduled consolidate, little history, when the consolidation happened, each and every one of those vendors had to voluntarily and unilaterally execute a contract mod to get their offerings over to the Cloud SIN. So that was an effort. For the labor hours, yes, you can get both. In fact, there are many more cloud-focused labor hour offerings on the Cloud SIN than there are resellers of cloud itself. So you can get both. There are good reasons to separate the two. What happens when a when a labor engagement goes wrong, you'd still be on the hook with that vendor that you now have bad blood with for the cloud itself. So there's a good reason to split the two, but you can get both in one acquisition or two acquisitions through the Cloud SIN.
Related question, while we're talking about the Cloud SIN, does it include SaaS providers or just cloud native services?
That's a good question. Many of the SaaS, most of the SaaS providers on the Cloud SIN are either email as a service providers, all the big names are there, or cloud-focused applications like applications that would monitor your cloud environment, that kind of thing. Depending on the application, and here's where our consulting will help you. Depending on the application, you may want to focus directly on the Cloud SIN, or you may want to widen that net to include not only the Cloud SIN, but the software SIN as well. Now that opens you up to thousands and thousands of vendors, but the Mras people will field all those responses anyway. But it opens up the field, so you'll get many more nonsense responses, frankly. But it also widens the net to include unique applications that have not yet migrated to the Cloud SIN. So the answer is for email as a service, most likely. For cloud-focused monitoring applications, probably. Other applications, maybe not so much. Depends on a case-by-case basis. We can help with that.
Great. Scott wants to cut directly to the chase here. He has a question about how often have agencies bought directly from the vendor, the manufacturer, and are there significant money saved?
Well, since cloud was invented, everyone wants to cut to the chase. They all want to deal direct with the cloud service provider. After all, there's more responsiveness. There's a chance for savings. Although those resellers get quite a bulk discount from the CSPs. You might get a better price from a reseller than you do from the CSP because they're buying in bulk discount to begin with. So you have to run that Mras, you have to run a competition to make sure you're getting the very best prices that you can. Now, the CSPs on their part have been very shy about going direct. They like the legal distance between them and the customer for all kinds of legal reasons. Now, Amazon is one of the rare large vendors who is on a GSA schedule, but they don't bid every time on everything. They like to pick and choose. So again, our consulting can help with this. It's still mostly done through resellers today.
Fantastic. Last question for you, Skip, coming from Robin. If government can buy cloud services via the Mras using the Cloud SIN, why is there also a desire at GSA to create a new enterprise-wide cloud BPA?
Well, that's a good question. There are additional benefits to creating a new government-wide BPA. Many times, actually, when people call us, contact us for a consulting engagement over cloud, first thing they ask is, where is there a government-wide vehicle where I can just issue a task order? That's what they want. They don't want to run a competition against GSA schedule. They don't want to do open market. They don't want to go through all that rigmarole. They want to cut to the chase, as Scott said, and issue a task order. So one of the big benefits, if the GSA were to be able to issue a single award BPA, that dream would be realized. On the other hand, as everyone knows, a single award BPA is very difficult to put in place. Look how much money it would be. It would be a protest magnet. Protest period would be extensive. You only have to look at the news reports to hear about cloud vehicles that have failed to be put in place because of red tape or complications that a single award BPA can bring. On the other hand, look at DOS. DoD stood this up. It got a single award. It's a single award BPA, and guess what? It's partially based on the Mass Cloud SIN, so they had a lot of easier time to set that up. There are look at that. There are success stories. So the answer is, if they were able to stand up a GSA cloud BPA as a single award, that dream of a single task order, just issue a task order, would be realized. Even a multiple award BPA with a couple of vendors would reduce the competition pool quite a bit and still would make it easier. And also, GSA is considering adding a couple of extra requirements on top of what the SIN already requires. The SIN is very broad and those requirements would focus on security, supply chain risk, all kinds of other things. But the main dream is to, I would think, would be a single award or very few multiple award multiple awardees on a government-wide cloud BPA.
All right, thank you very much, Skip, for your presentation on this schedule. And Ben, thanks for stepping in and facilitating the questions. For everyone's edification, Skip's team also hosts a quarterly public webinar on cloud acquisition. So let's keep this conversation going even after this event. But for now, I'm gonna let you guys take a quick break, a quick 5-minute break. So we'll see you guys back around, I have 2:01, 2:06 to 2:07. And you can have a choice of getting your extra cup of coffee or putting your shoes on in Skip's scenario. So we'll see you guys back in 5 minutes. Thank you everyone for attending.
Just a couple minutes left. So get those last minute items and we'll be getting started in just a couple minutes.
Okay, it looks like we're at 206, climbing on to 207. So welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a great break. Next, we have 3 experts from cloud.gov here to discuss platform as a service solution and the benefits it provides to agencies. I'll pass it to Cara to introduce herself and her team. So Cara, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Sam, and thank you to everyone for including cloud.gov in this event. We are excited to be here. So my name is Kara Reinsel. I'm the product manager for cloud.gov, and I'm joined today by 2 of my colleagues, Andrew Burns and Carlo Castino. They are both platform engineers with cloud.gov. And we're here today, we're going to talk to you about both of our products, cloud.gov and cloud.gov Pages, and the services that we provide to agencies all across the federal government. Next slide, please. So in terms of what we do at cloud.gov, cloud.gov itself is comprised of 2 products. The first one is cloud.gov Platform, which is a platform as a service, and it is built on top of Amazon Web Services. It is a secure, compliant, FedRAMP moderate environment where government agencies are able to deploy their applications and better support and serve their missions and the American people. They can focus on supporting their missions and deploying applications while we at cloud.gov provide them with a safe and secure infrastructure. Our second product is cloud.gov Pages, which some of you may already be familiar with because it's known as Federalist currently, but it's undergoing a name change. And what cloud.gov Pages allows is for government agencies to quickly and securely establish a web presence by using a static site generator built from code repositories. One of the things that Pages also includes is the ability to have custom domains. And we know that that's a big need for a lot of government agencies. So if you need to quickly establish a web presence, and certainly this past year, we've seen quite a bit of that, then cloud.gov Pages can be a really great solution. The last thing to note about both cloud.gov and cloud.gov Pages is that the services can be procured through an interagency agreement, an IAA, rather than a traditional procurement process. The nice thing about an IAA is that it could take really just a matter of weeks versus what could be months with a traditional procurement, which can be long, arduous, require a lot of resources to bring to completion. So with an IAA, it's fairly quick and you can be up and running with our services very, very quickly. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to my team to take you through more of our platform and products.
All right, thank you, Kara. Next slide, please. So I'm Carlo Castino. I'm one of the platform operators on cloud.gov. And now that you just heard like a brief introduction of what cloud.gov and cloud.gov Pages are, we'll walk through some of the benefits, some of the key benefits that we offer here. As you may be aware, infrastructure configuration, management, security compliance requirements, these all add significant time and cost to product delivery, especially if you're trying to deploy a modern digital service. Cloud.gov manages these responsibilities so that you can focus on supporting your mission. So here are just a few of the benefits we offer to help make it easier to deploy a website or application in government. We have full or partial coverage of 155 NIST 800.53 controls that can be inherited, support for multiple language stacks, so applications written in Python, Ruby, Go, PHP, Java, even .NET Core, with build packs, and folks can leverage Docker as well. So if you containerize your application, that's another way of deploying your application in cloud.gov. You have access to several key cloud services for your data and asset storage needs, in addition to custom domains. And the custom domains also have support for tying in with a content delivery network, the CDN. And fully managed and automated static site generation with cloud.gov pages. And finally, we also offer free sandbox accounts that grant you full access to all platform services for anyone with a federal email address or military email address. Next slide, please. So diving into a few more of our primary service offerings here, we cover a wide breadth of needs and use cases that most websites and applications depend on when operating in the cloud. So here, starting on the left here, asset and data management or data storage by providing access to AWS RDS, S3, Elasticache, and Elasticsearch services. We also have automation of SSL certificate provisioning and renewal with Let's Encrypt. And again, that's paired with CloudFront, AWS CloudFront, to add content delivery network support if needed. Our application management is done with Cloud Foundry itself. That is the primary technology behind the platform of cloud.gov. And along with, again, that build pack support for multiple language stacks. So a variety of different applications can run on there. And again, Docker and Let's Encrypt, for that SSL certificate, so your sites are always secure and running with HTTPS. And finally, on the static site side with cloud.gov pages, these are done via code repositories hosted in GitHub, which are then managed via an automated build process to S3 buckets for the hosting and leverages CloudFront for static asset management to provide fast and stable user experiences. Now I'm going to turn things over to Andrew, who's going to walk us through the Cloud.gov platform, or how Cloud.gov platform and Cloud.gov pages can fit in any part of a customer's journey.
Thanks, Carlo. So we've seen here's just kind of one example of how our customers actually can slowly migrate to using cloud. Get up into the cloud quickly. So say you've got a business process that's on premises that you have had maybe a long time and legacy information, but you need to get that out and distribute to folks either through a website or an API. The main you do is really build an opinionated platform to easily and quickly, can't hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
Andrew, you're breaking up.
Test.
Andrew, can you hear us? You're breaking up.
Of course. Get you out. Can you hear me? He's breaking up.
No, Andrew, we can't hear you.
Let me try to switch this up here.
Well, okay, everyone. As Kara just alluded to, we're having some technical difficulties. I hope you're enjoying the event thus far. I think what we will do is, if Liz, if you can cue the music, just give us a minute here, and we'll try to see if we can get Andrew right back on. So everyone, just give us a minute. Where I'm at 2:15. Let's see if we could just jump this, start this thing again, 2:17. For us to just see if we could get Andrew back up and running for you guys here to conclude the cloud.gov session. Give us a minute, please.
Are you ready to stop the music, Sam, or we keep going?
Yeah, let's stop it. Let's see, Andrew, are you back in with us?
Oh, apologies for that. Not able to quite get them back in, but I'll take over and work through here. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us, and thank you, Sam. All right, so as Andrew was about to dive in here, adapting to customer needs. At the very beginning here, as we noted, this cloud.gov platform or cloud.gov pages will fit anywhere in a customer's cloud journey. And so, for example, you're starting out with an existing on-premise solution and you want to move that to a cloud or to the cloud. Excuse me. We'll start by assessing needs and capabilities and what makes the most sense to move on the cloud. Doing this wholesale right up from the start and trying to move everything all at once rarely goes well, if at all. And so you want to find and identify the pieces that make sense to move it first and kind of do this in an iterative fashion. Next slide, please. So on the second step here, using what's known as an encasement strategy, customers begin migrating either applications or components of their applications to the cloud.gov platform while retaining their existing service. So again, it's that iterative process here. This provides the ability to develop, to test, and to deploy repeatedly in an agile fashion to start moving over applications or components. And the cloud.gov platform is well suited to this because it doesn't take much to get something up and running on there. And once you do, it's very easy to go through and test quickly and see whether or not things are working appropriately, if services are wired up correctly, and then connect that to existing services so that you still retain that functionality that customers are expecting from your site. Next slide, please. And so wrapping up here at the end of the migration, either most or all of the applications or components are moved over. If there is anything that's still required to be on-premise or outside of the cloud.gov platform, that can continue to exist as it is. Your sites can still connect to those external services without any issue, and you, again, retain that functionality. But with everything else that has been moved over, you're now leveraging a modern and FedRAMP environment and able to leverage all the new cloud services. So this encasement strategy that we just kind of walked through, this process is exactly how the Federal Election Commission was able to modernize its digital presence and service offerings to the public, and it continues to leverage cloud.gov, the platform today. And this allows customers to accomplish things such as building out APIs to back their sites, application programming interfaces, hosting dynamic applications, authenticating users, storing data and information, again, using these modern cloud technologies in a secure and compliant environment. Next slide, please. So here are just some of our existing customers. I just touched on the Federal Election Commission. They've been a longtime partner of ours, and in fact, all three of us, Kara, Andrew, and myself, had partnered with them previously in 18F and helping them modernize their digital services and the website that you see there in the top left. The Deputy Commissioner, Wei Lau, has spoken highly of the experience and has referenced over time how this has saved them a lot of money in terms of the traditional hosting they had in data centers, over $1 million annually saved, that they've been able to reinvest elsewhere and in other cloud technologies for some of their other services that they continue to develop and add features to their site. The Environmental Protection Agency with airnow.gov, that's in the top right there. They have been leveraging cloud.gov for, I think, a little over a year now. And so if you recall last year, and I suppose this year too, unfortunately, the wildfires have been a very difficult thing to manage. And this site in the past has struggled to keep up with the demand for it, but they've been running on cloud.gov. And at one point during 2020, during the height of the season, the wildfire season, it was the most visited site in the federal government, according to the Digital Analytics Program. And it had maintained stability throughout every step of the way. A couple more sites here, opa.mil. This is a vendor-supported site. The vendor themselves actually had reached out to us directly asking about our platform because they were looking for a place to develop and host this new application for the Office of People Analytics. And so we coordinated with them and explained how gaining access to cloud.gov works, which I'm going to touch on in just a little bit. But they were able to partner, with the work with the DoD, work with the Office of People Analytics, and work with us, and now have access and have launched this site to support their mission within the DoD. And that last one on the bottom right there, that's the Department of Justice, a civil rights reporting tool. This recently launched, I guess, toward the end of 2020. But this I think was one of their first forays into a cloud-hosted environment and dynamic application. And the launch of this had gone smoothly and was kind of featured just in time around the elections, I believe, if I have my timing correct. And so received a lot of traffic initially right off the bat, and they've been operating very successfully so far. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. So we've covered some of the benefits of cloud.gov and the services that we offer, as well as how existing customers have leveraged the platform and partnered with us. So here's some additional paid features and support that we offer as well. For customers that require a large amount of additional storage above 1 terabyte, we offer additional paid options. I'm going to get to this just a little bit later, jumping ahead for a moment. When you gain access to the platform, there is a base level of storage and services that are just a part of the access, the general access. But for folks who require very large storage or have very large storage needs, we do offer other paid options there. We also offer a set of nodes for the Elastic Cache and Elasticsearch services for customers out of the box, and additional nodes can be purchased for the use cases that require them. We also offer additional paid support packages. So again, the access fee to the program provides platform level support out of the box, and you'll communicate actually with Andrew and I as it is this week, but you'll communicate with the team directly if there are any questions regarding the platform or any issues, account login issues or resets, things of that nature, that we just generally provide. But if any customer requires additional support or would like more dedicated support, we do offer additional support packages. And then this way you gain access. We can schedule time to walk through some of the deeper application development, how better to leverage the platform directly, those kinds of things. And the additional support can be added to an existing interagency agreement just via modification if the customer doesn't already have it. So speaking of interagency agreements, I'm going to talk now about the access or gaining access to cloud.gov. So next slide, please. Thank you. So we're just an IAA away. Interagency agreements, they make this process very easy. As Kara mentioned early on, as opposed to going through a full procurement cycle, this is just signing on with GSA. That does mean that this is only federal agencies can sign the interagency agreements, but as I mentioned before, with the OPA.mil example, if a vendor would like to use cloud.gov, they can suggest it to the agency and ask them that they'd like to leverage cloud.gov for the services that they plan to offer and coordinate with the agency to then speak with us and gain access that way as well. Just going to talk about the IAA process a little bit here. It just generally proceeds like this. So at the start, our business and customer experience team will work with you and confirm that cloud.gov, either the platform or cloud.gov pages, is a good fit for your needs. We'll then work with you to determine your access and usage needs, and we'll never charge you for anything that you're not using or don't ask for. After all of this, we'll send a prep survey to help collect the information that we need. And that's including who should have initial access to the platform. This is known as either the organization or the org manager. And then once we have all of that, it's just a matter of getting the paperwork together, and that is sent around and routed for signatures between GSA and the agency that is signing on to gain access. And once the IAA is signed, we can immediately grant or create the organization and grant access to the platform for those named org managers. Basically, as soon as the paperwork is ready to go, that's all it takes. We take care of a couple of things on our end, and the customer gains access, and that's it. We also do support processing MIPRs for customers within the military. Just note that, as we mentioned before, this is a FedRAMP moderate authorized platform, and so that equates to the Gsa Impact Level 2, and just need to bear that in mind for if you're working within or for the DoD, because oftentimes they'll have requirements for systems that are at the Impact Level 4. One other important item to note with this: gaining access to the cloud.gov platform doesn't automatically grant permission to launch a website into production. It's still a customer responsibility to attain an authority to operate from their respective agency in order to proceed with launching a site into production itself. However, cloud.gov pages, it does have an authority to operate that customers can leverage. So please see our website for details on that. Next slide, please. And so wrapping up for today, our aim is to provide government agencies with an easy, cost-efficient pathway to cloud services and static websites in a secure and compliant way. Please visit us on the website shown here. That's cloud.gov. And if you have any questions, also please reach out to us at inquiries@cloud.gov. Happy to provide you with more information or get a conversation started with you to see if cloud.gov could be a fit. And lastly, again, please don't forget to sign up for a free sandbox account. Anybody with a federal or military email address can sign up and you'll gain full access to the platform. There'll just be some limits in terms of just how much you can deploy or memory usage, but you do gain full access to test things out and give things a try. So thank you for your time. We hope to hear from you in the future, and I think we're ready for Q&A.
Okay, so we're almost at time, so we'll take one question, Kara, anyone you'd like to choose, and then we'll just circle back with the audience with the rest, but floor is yours.
Just looking here. Carlo, I was thinking if we answer this question, as GSA's industry partners, how can we build GSA's cloud.gov and offer designs presented with our solicitation response? In short, how can industry help sell cloud.gov?
That's a great question. I think, as we touched on before, the vendor partnership in particular is a great way to do this. when folks are coming in, vendors coming in to support agencies and move or build services in the cloud, working with the agency and including us in the conversation or asking about using us is a great way to do this. Because then, folks they might not be aware that we're an option. And again, even though it's an interagency agreement, so it's not something that a vendor can directly access. Once an agency signs on, they can grant access to the vendor, no problem. And so I think this is one of the ways, just making sure that we're a part of the conversation. If you're trying to leverage cloud services and especially gain the benefits from working within a FedRAMP authorized environment, a secure compliant environment, that will greatly help speed things along. That's one of the key ways that I see that would help us and help industry as well. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Kara?
I think you covered it.
Well, thank you very much, Kara, Andrew, and especially Carlos for your agility there. Appreciate the great presentation on cloud.gov, and everyone please stay connected to us if there's any questions that we can answer for you even after this event. We'll try to circle back with everyone who submitted a question. So moving on to the next topic of the agenda, our next feature is the program of Fedsim, presented today by its director, Chris Ham. If you're looking for the Rolls Royce of a total lifecycle hands-on cloud assistance, Chris and his team are the people to talk to. So Chris, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. I probably have the status in this presentation of the least technically qualified out of all of your presenters, but probably a little bit more on the acquisition side. So we started out with Sunny, talking about the overall vision for the cloud out of the Federal Acquisition Service, and then talked about some of the different options that we have on GSA schedule through our information technology category. And you just had a really good briefing from TTS on the cloud.gov offerings and their options for potentially providing other federal agency services. My part's going to be more about how we do cloud acquisition through GSA contract vehicles in assisted acquisition. So my organization, Fedsim, does fee-for-service contracting for IT, operations, management, post-award delivery on the enterprise scale. This is for both civilian agencies and for the Department of Defense. And you'll see pretty significantly sized programs here. And I want to talk about how we include the transition to the cloud into the design of our acquisitions and then what we've learned out of it. So next slide. The first part is talking about the philosophy. When a customer is potentially coming to use assisted acquisition, one of our tenets is trying to encourage everyone to purchase the entire thing through one acquisition. We do not do a lot of individual buys for hosting out of AWS or Azure or anything. We try and get them to do the application environment, the telecommunications environment, and the existing operations for hosting, all in one system integrator so that we can do transitions over time. So some graphic designer made this image for me, but the real point of it is trying to get the buying aspect done once, because acquisition is actually really frustrating. And if we can get to the actual delivery side, that's where the real value is. Next slide. So when we're engaged with somebody in a agency CIO shop, this is the basic script for starting to talk to them about what we're doing in a acquisition that will involve a cloud transition. The first is to find out what the application inventory looks like. What does the environment look like? It's a discovery question. How many applications do you have, and can they be moved into the cloud? Are there things that are mission critical that cannot have a separate new development on that you're going to exclude from the operation? And what artifacts do we have that can we present to industry that are not classified or secure, and do we need, what types of reading rooms do we need to provide to companies so that if they were going to bid on it and offer a cloud solution, that they know that their pricing could actually be validated. One of our biggest issues in this type of acquisition is that type of information tends not to be fully fleshed out in a way that a company who would want to bid something as a firm fixed price readily has on hand. So we have to spend some time pulling it together to be able to present it to a company so that they could offer it as a fixed price. Otherwise, you're looking at some of the less favorable contract types. The second thing, and this is really related to what we're hearing out of the IT category, is what is the funding profile for the agency? Buying cloud really requires knowledge of how the money flows, because you generally have to do a full funding amount for the amount of the increment that you're going to anticipate buying. And because it varies in cloud, you want to know, do budgets arrive on October 1st at the start of a new fiscal year, or do they come in quarterly increments? What's the nature of the CLIN structure do you need to set up in order to fund that CLIN? So the funding profile is more of a driver of the design of our contract structure than it should be, than you would have in a normal private industry arrangement where it's just paying whatever you use. Third question, just what are all the different applications that are being used, and do we have to have, can we have one environment, are we looking at multiple environments, and whether or not that's something that's going to transition over time. One of the more important questions, is it the same company that is writing the applications that's also going to host them, or do you have a separate contractor? A lot of times IT environments have a distinction between the person that's going to be creating the development of the new code versus somebody that's going to be operating it. And if you're going to be having two different vendors, establishing an agreement between those two parties on what the service levels will be in order to load things into new environments. Fifth question, talking about who handles the hosting today. Whenever you're making changes, you're taking away some piece of work, figuring out how do you decrease the contracts for the existing hosting as things are moving into the cloud. And then what is the overall philosophy for their IT operation environment? Is it a mixed organization where they have some waterfall development and they have some DevSecOps? What is the structure of their teams? Because that tends to drive the nature of the tasks and who's responsible in the contract structure itself. So this is the starting script for any time that we're talking to a new customer that is looking to move some item to the cloud. Next slide, please. All right. So back to my philosophy here on building once for all buyers. My organization tends to use an established government-wide acquisition contract called Alliant 2 for large acquisitions that involve cloud with IT operations. There are other options that GSA also has. We've already talked about GSA schedule. You can also do this through the EIS contract, and we're currently using a lot of the VETS contract while the Alliant 2 small business contract is being reworked, or the new Polaris contract. So a lot of different options if you're looking to do the operation side in addition to the cloud. Next slide. So this one is animated. Let me see if I can talk to it so that it makes sense. This is the nature of a contract CLIN type thing where you have human beings that do something for cost, and then they have people that travel and they buy tools and they do ODCs. And what we're gonna, if you hit the next button, it'll probably start building. What we normally see in large enterprise IT O&M, such as GSA's own IT infrastructure, is you award a contract that involves human beings looking at an environment, slowly looking at, can we move something into a cloud environment versus a hosting environment? And if the slide was doing what it was supposed to do, you would be seeing that dial spin, and slowly, application by application, we would be moving, in this case, 42 different applications over the life of this task order, and reducing the amount of money that's in the CLIN table and going into a fixed unit price for the item itself that's moving into the cloud. So it looks like my animation didn't survive the presentation, but I hope I conveyed the point of allowing for, over time, like almost like at the option period, for the contractor to offer a proposal to move something into the cloud, and then the pricing gets tied to its normal commercial pricing list. All right, now we'll go into my examples. So because we're doing this on behalf of other agencies, these will be non-GSA examples. These will be things that we do on behalf of other federal agencies. The first one on the left is for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is their G6 organization that has thousands and thousands of locations. And they're trying to consolidate all of their IT operations and move them into the cloud. So it's tied to my previous example $1 billion project that involves maintaining their network and slowly moving their applications up. The second one, more acronym soup for you, is called Usmetcom. If the best example I'll give you for what this is if you've ever seen Captain America, whenever they're entering into the military and they're taking the vials of blood and deciding whether or not he's fit for duty, that's what this does for the US military. That's every time you enter into service, they have an existing system that's an Oracle database that is in 66 different locations where you actually just sign up. It's probably technology that's from the original Captain America. It's really, really old. They signed an agreement with the Defense Digital Service to move this into a cloud environment as a pilot. So they have an AWS instance there. And then we did a contract similar to what TTS just described, moving that and then having all of the applications resident in the cloud so that instead of having to do a deployment to 66 different locations around the country, they simply downloaded it. It's now on ordinary laptops and computers, and they enter everything in through this cloud-based interface. So that is a massive success for them, and it allows them to continue to operate every time anybody is going to enter into the military. Third option, this is for Homeland Security. This is the Custom and Border Protection program that is called Beagle, which I didn't name, but it was really cute. This is similar. They have a large data center, and we've been told that data centers are no longer things that we want to. They are getting rid of them and slowly taking every application out of the Springfield data center and moving that up into a new cloud environment. And the last one, another military example. This one is unique because it is a government cloud. This is the U.S. Air Force for the area of responsibility is central, so it's AFCENT. So there are different countries that we currently have troops in, and they want to make sure that they have access to their data regardless of wherever they are, so not having to rely on local telecommunications. So they've built a government cloud that we're doing all of the application development. So lots of different examples from the small and the $8 million range to the massive and the $1 billion range, but the overall point here is that you can do that type of transition inside of a variety of GSA vehicles, and in this case, my organization is managing and post-award a lot of the technical delivery of that. Next slide. Here's my cute slide. For those of you guys remember this old infomercial, this is the hair club for men. I want to say that in addition to advocating on behalf of other federal agencies and moving to the cloud, Fedsim itself is also a member. Next slide. We have purchased through interagency agreement what used to be called Federalist and is now the cloud.gov pages. My website, which is the little window here on the bottom right-hand side, is a static website created through the Federalist platform via interagency agreement. That allows me to have easy updates through an open source tool so that we can do all of our customized tailoring thing without having to go through a lot of content control and like they had said, I'm getting an ability to operate without having to have my own technical staff. So I am a huge advocate of the capability that they provide through cloud.gov, and I can recommend them for anybody that's looking to stand up a site really, really fast and then allow it to modify and still remain compliant with all the different federal rules. All right, that is the summary of my presentation, and I think I got us back on time. So if anybody has any questions around how we implement cloud, I'm happy to take them now. I see in the Q&A, how is cloud priced? So there are multiple different options, and you'll see this reflected on what is present on the GSA Schedule SIN for cloud pricing. Generally speaking, we're getting it as a fixed unit price. In a large task order like Alliant, that is what would be called an ODC, but in a direct order through a GSA schedule, it would be a fixed unit price. And I think Carlo's adding more to that. Do we have any more questions for me? I don't see anything else in the Q&A.
Chris, we got a question here. What GSA contract vehicles do you use to structure client acquisitions in Fedsim?
Okay. I am a big fan of not making my own contracts. Contracting is hard, which is kind of a funny thing to say for somebody in charge of a contracting activity. I really, really like the Alliant family of contracts. They allow us to use all different contract types inside of them, and they have all of the different providers that do the services and integration in addition to the hosting or the cloud part. You can also do the exact same thing on GSA Schedule. The only limitation there is you're not authorized to use cost reimbursement style contracting. So I think those are your two main choices. I had mentioned that we're using VETS. VETS is also a socioeconomic contract that has a similar scope for IT. So those are the three main ones, and I'd also added the EIS contract, which has a cloud-based environment if you're including it mostly through the telecommunications.
Fantastic. Got one more question for you. What roles and expertises do your assigned integrated project teams usually have when they go into a customer engagement?
So my organization is less technical than the other folks that you're getting out of GSA, like such as the TTS folks. Mine are more professional managers that have a FACT Core Level 3, a FACT PPM Level 3, and they're knowledgeable of technology, such as, I am a 2210 information technology manager, but my skills are 20 years out of date. They're going to be familiar with industry capability and the ability to exercise the options that are offered by industry and allow reach back for other contractually delivered solutions. So we're never going to be in a technical advocacy role. We're going to be in an implementation role based on the direction from a customer.
Okay. We had another question just come in. How do you address leadership security concerns from Norman?
At the start, the concern about security tends to come from the lower level technical manager and not from leadership. Almost all of our engagements are with a CIO or a CTO, where they're already comfortable with the possibility of moving to the cloud. Then you're going to have to go through and the ordinary security review process with the CISO, having to get the authority to operate. So you've got to test it, you're gonna go through all the different controls, you have a separate environment, and then once they demonstrate the increased capability, that's when the buy-in starts to occur out of the lower level technical manager. But we don't generally have leadership concerns about moving to cloud. We have leadership desire, and then the technical manager saying, yeah, but it's going to be hard. Like the joke inside of my organization is always that the definition of a legacy system is the one that still works. And every time that you're trying to do the new one, you got to demonstrate that it's as good as the legacy.
Very good. We had one more question come in. How do we use business cases to develop cloud in AWS?
So the cost versus performance argument is pretty clear in the favor of cloud. So if you're looking at the amount of time that the individuals are spending in the environment and the cost associated with the entire environment versus the speed and execution of the cloud, it is a compelling return on investment almost immediately. So I'm confident that you could work with any of the folks that have been presenting so far to give you the underlying argument that is a financial and operational improvement, such as we talked about earlier, under the standing up of a website in a couple of days and then having the data flow through it. That is simply, that does not exist without a cloud-based environment. So happy to talk further and reach out to the right people to get you help with the business case if you're looking for that.
Fantastic. I think that's all the questions I see. Thanks for the presentation, Chris, and I think we're going to throw it back to Sam now.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, for the presentation on Fedsim, and Ben for the backup on the Q&A. Now we'll hear from Tom Santucci. Tom is the Director of the Data Center and Cloud Optimization Initiative Project Management Office at GSA. Tom got the ball rolling on this event, so it's only fitting for him to close this out. So Tom, the room is yours. Hey, Tom, I think you may be on mute or may want to.
Sorry, double muted.
There you go. All right, it's yours now, officially.
I didn't want the same audio problems we had earlier, so I switched to my phone and my headset. Hey, good afternoon. This was fantastic, beyond my expectations of what GSA can do. it is, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Chris Robinson and Alexis Masterson for their splendid job in coordinating this originally, and then FAST just did, and TTS did a fantastic job just taking us home. So congrats to everybody involved. I know this is a collective effort, and this is just some of what GSA I'm so proud of to work for this organization. We all work together, no matter what your entry point, if you're an agency, and no matter what your entry point is into GSA, we all work collectively together to solve the problems. So there's a lot of communication internally to help external agencies, and I'm really proud of that. So my name's Tom Santucci. You got the slides up?
I think we're working to restore that, Tom. Just a minute.
No worries. I can present it myself if that need be.
Hey, Tom, that would be great. I think it would expedite things.
No worries. Oh, wait, I don't think I can.
I see him. GSA, effective and efficient government for the American people.
Can you still see them? Can you still see the slide?
Yes, I can.
Because I have my talking points up as front of it, so I wanted to make sure it was okay. All right. So
wait a minute, Tom. I think that may be your backup with the GSA logo. That may be your desktop. I mean,
I may be able to bring up something for him quick. This is Liz. I'll go ahead and do that quick if you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
No worries. All right, next slide. All right. So my name, not one slide before. There you go. That's fine. That's perfect. So my name's Tom Santucci. I work as the Director for IT Modernization within the Office of Government-Wide Policy. I manage the PMO for the Data Center and Cloud Optimization Initiative, and in this role, we serve as trusted agents, information brokers, and provide subject matter expertise to agencies, both big and small. We're also the managing partner of OMB policies for the Data Center Optimization Initiative, Cloud Smart, and now Ipv6. And this partnership has been really instrumental in as a conduit from OMB policy experts to agency personnel and answering any of your questions you might have in any of those. On the DCOI front, we work with agencies to develop their annual strategic plans and data center consolidation, collect data quarterly, and post it on IT dashboard where both the public and GIO have access to it. And in 2016, Cloud First was highly successful. But the thing we learned was agencies were only considering cloud as an alternative. And in 2018, OMB introduced Cloud Smart in hopes agencies would more strategically think about what they wanted the cloud to provide prior to making any decisions. And it may be for lower cost, or maybe business resiliency or improved service delivery. And whatever the reason, this would require a lot of upfront work and really look at your portfolio and make strategic decisions. So Cloud Smart introduced a concept called application rationalization. This required agencies to identify what applications are running in their data centers and facilitate further consolidation and optimization at the application level. This requires calculating the total cost of ownership when making such determinations during refresh cycles. This effort goes well beyond just licensing and hosting costs. It requires agencies to identify costs that aren't necessarily known today, like the edge computing in the downtown building, the network it relies on, and the labor to maintain both the IT and the facilities that it's housed in. And then finally, the Ipv6 memo is relatively new. I believe it overlaps well with the zero trust journey coming from the cybersecurity executive order, while it reduces the technical debt and security of running multiple protocols. GSA and multiple agencies developed several templates to assist agencies in meeting these deadlines set forth in the policy. Next slide. So I also co-chair the Cloud and Infrastructure Community of Practice, which has grown to over, it says 2,000, but I think we're closer to 2,500 now, from the federal IT workforce, where we share best practices, agency experiences, and IT modernization, and establish working groups for specific topics. We've also been successful in getting the right speakers for whatever is hot. We have FedRAMP coming up next month, and we're look for an upcoming presentation on the cybersecurity executive order later this summer or fall. COVID has really got us involved in providing remote training. It's really been a win-win for everybody. In the beginning, we partnered with the Department of Navy, who was fantastic. And then we later developed our own training platform. This has been extremely beneficial, simply based on the participant feedback we're receiving. And we continue to host additional classes and expand our courses wherever we can. And then finally, we put together multiple agency work groups to develop artifacts of interest. We often collectively work with other entities within GSA to build a knowledge repository for everything cloud, and we contribute to the GSA Cloud Information Center. I'll post in the chat how to join the COP. You just need a .gov or .mil email address. And thanks for your time today. Look forward to any of your questions. And thank you for putting on a great show. GSA, you did wonders. I thank you everyone for attending. We'd love your feedback and surveys, how we can improve on it, other than the technical issues, the small technical issues we had. And we enjoyed doing this and really promoting GSA services, because we are the service that services the federal government. Thank you. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Tom. Boy, we've learned a lot today. Harkening back to Sunny's opening remarks, I think it's fair to say that in government, cloud is not emerging, it's surging. GSA embraces that surge, and each of us are ready and eager to help your agency accomplish its modernization goals. The Centers of Excellence, 18F, and Presidential Innovation Fellows will bring you a centralized team of technical experts trained to accelerate your modernization. When you're ready to acquire, GSA's Cloud Sync on the multiple awards schedule should be your first stop. If you're developing apps, check out cloud.gov so you can securely build your FedRAMP authorized platform. For complex acquisitions, call up Fedsim. They've seen it all. Finally, the Cloud and Infrastructure Community of Practice should be everyone's go-to resource to continue the conversation. All attendees will receive a follow-up email with CLPs and all presenters' contact information. We will also be posting this same interaction recorded online, along with presenters' materials. On behalf of myself, your hostess with the mostest, the Federal Acquisition Service, and GSA, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your schedule to attend and participate in us with this great event. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Take care, everyone.